Is there any way for money to buy you happiness?
It's the eternal question. So there's 5 things you can do with money. Number 1, you can buy stuff. Number 2, you can buy experiences. Number 3, you can buy time. Number 4, you can give it away. And number 5, you can save it. Those are the exhaustive possibilities of what you can do with money. 2 through 5 bring happiness. 1 doesn't. 1 is what you biologically have an imperative to do, is to go accumulate stuff, more of everything that shows that you're a successful person. However, if you buy experiences and experience these things with people that you love, you get happier. If you buy time and don't fritter it away, that you use it for your own edification or for the relationships in your life, you get happier. If you give your money to things that you're really passionate about, you get happier. And if you save your money, you get way happier.
How's everybody doing? Good. Good to be with you today. I feel like I should start today just with a word of thanks. Most days I wake up and I think I pretty much have the greatest gig on the planet. I feel that way mostly because of all of you. You could probably think, well, what would make a pastor feel great? Well, if you have great elders, a board, the guards and guides, and we do, full of integrity and vision, that'd make you feel good. If you have a staff team with pastors and staff who are working shoulder to shoulder, tackling big things, that would make you feel good, and we have that. If you have a church who is constantly inviting their friends, who is hungry to grow, it's growing like crazy, that would make you feel good. And when I walk out into the community and people in the town of St. John who work there, people at Down Syndrome Association, Sojourner Truth House, they're saying, thank God for Suncrest. When I'm at my son's soccer game and someone comes up to me and says, hey, my brother started going to your church. He hasn't been at church forever, but he's having a great experience. It's a good season for us. And I just want to say to you how thankful I am to be your pastor. Let me give you one short window. 2 years ago, things were going great, honestly. Our attendance was 1,100, a little over that. Last weekend, we had over 1,700 people who were here just experiencing the Word of God, a message about heaven, Mother's Day. It's awesome. Even better than the total attendance. Let me tell you this. 2 years ago, in our kids ministry, we would have had 200, a little over 200 kids. Last weekend, there were 345 babies through 5th graders who are part of this mix. And it's really important because we're aiming at being a church for the next generation, walking with young families, raising up kids. It's a beautiful thing. And I just want you to know how grateful I am for it. And I want you also to know that we appreciate everybody on their journey, no matter where you are on the journey. You may be on your way in the front door here and you may need something from our church. We're happy to give it to you. We want to walk with you on that journey. As people progress through that journey, they become people who, we always need something. And then we also get the chance to serve, to engage, to invest. And that's good too. So wherever you are on that journey, thank you for being who you are. Today, I'm starting a new 3-week series about money. And just so you kind of have a sense of where this is going, the message 2 weeks from now, the last one of the series, will be about giving financially. And I think it's an important thing for us to think about in our spiritual journey, how we become more and more generous and give. Many of you, if you've been around, you've seen me use this chart, and I'll use it in a couple of weeks just to help people appreciate that there's a progression to how we grow in our giving, becoming a rookie giver, then a recurring giver, where that's your habit. A relational giver is more about asking, what would it look like to trust God? And then radical givers, that not everyone becomes a radical giver, but those who do, this becomes like a main thing in their life, how they can use their money to change the world. And it's just a beautiful progression. But in the 2 weeks leading up to that, the series is not about giving. It's much more practical about your everyday finances and ways that the scriptures give tremendous wisdom for this. In fact, I don't even want to live on the word practical as much as I hope it will be helpful to you. That there's a whole crowd of people here who are going to walk out of here and feel like, man, I can be in a better place 6 months from now because of what the scriptures taught and what this church will help me do. So hopefully that is the experience of this. Talking about money is an interesting thing because everybody deals with money. In some ways, it's one of my favorite topics because I know when I talk about money, everybody's listening. Everyone deals with money. Everyone, to some degree, wrestles with financial decisions. Money, of course, overflows into a personality thing for us. It affects marriages, sometimes in positive ways, many times in very negative ways. It's just wild how money touches every area of life. And one of the interesting things about a lot of marriages is you married somebody who handles money differently than you do. Show of hands. How many of you are married to someone who kind of drives you nuts about how they handle money? Yeah, all right. That's good. That's real life, right? One of my favorite comedians these days is Nate Bargatze, and he has a little clip. I'm just going to let you watch this for 60 minutes about he and his wife and how they handle money differently. I think you'll enjoy this.
Look, I can be wasteful. Like, if something gets to the bottom, I will throw it away. Ketchup. If ketchup gets like that much left, I'm like, blah. She will put the old ketchup with the new ketchup. That way your ketchup's always gross. Toothpaste. I will use it to what I think the average person uses it to. I don't think I should feel muscles trying to get it out. I'm not going to have an iron on top of it. But she'll do it more. So I know when I'm done with it, I give it to the hobo I married. She cuts it, gets it all out. I married an old man from the Depression is who I married.
And some of you did too, right? So I was talking about this with someone in the comments area after the service Thursday night, and someone said, I was kind of making fun of her for being that cheap. She's like, Greg, don't you talk about driving a vehicle that has 340,000 miles on it? I'm like, yes, I do. Guilty as charged. I hope we're able to laugh about some of these things and enjoy some of this as we talk about money over the next few weeks. I actually titled the series The Plus Side because I want it to be a positive series about money. I think a lot of our interactions with money actually been toward the negative. It produces arguments, it produces angst in our lives, it creates stress for us. And I'm like, oh, money doesn't have to be that way, even though it is currently for many people. And I hope that by the end of this series, you will either be in a place or at least set your course for a place where you're like, money isn't a negative to me. There's a plus side about this. It is a positive thought about money. So here's kind of three ideas that I mean when I say positive. I want something for you in this series, not something from you. That tries to be Suncrest posture in everything that we do. It's never a quid pro quo. Like, you don't have to serve here for us to serve you. You don't have to give here for us to serve you, be for you. Like, that's not what this is about. Always becoming like Christ. And actually, I want this to be true of pretty much everything that happens at Suncrest. When we do a mental health series, I want you to know we want something for you, not something from you. I want you to know you don't have to do something for us to walk the road with you or provide support for you. I want you to know I'm always, no matter what, I'm going to ask you to become like Christ. And sometimes that comes with challenge, of course, but it ends up being better in life. And that's true if it's me and my big mouth, or it's true if it's about heaven. These are all true. I want something for you, not something from you. And I want to help us become like Christ. And so even during this series, we have a couple of tools that we're going to offer to you that I think will be great helps. Actually, these two things I want to mention right now are backed by popular demand for us, things that over the course of the series, you could be like, okay, that's for me. One is something we call Budget Boot Camp. There have literally been hundreds of people at Suncrest who have gone through our Budget Boot Camp process or something similar over the years. And it really is a place where, like, hey, if you feel like you're a little upside down financially and you tried to do it yourself, but you could use a little help. I mean, people who go through this 6 months from now, life can be tremendously, tremendously different. And so if this is for you, I'll come back to this again at the end of the message, but we just offer this to help you. It starts 2 weeks from today, and we just want to walk this road with you. So you can stop in the Commons area, scan that QR code on the back of your seat. Another thing that we're going to offer at the end of June is a legacy planning seminar. Some might call this an estate planning seminar. And I know at first that sounds like it's for old people and rich people, but the last time we did this, I was so proud of our church because the overwhelming population that went through this was young families. And here's why. This whole idea about money and thinking about our lives and our stuff and what happens, it's good to think about the future, to understand the decisions we make now have an effect on the future. And especially if you're raising young kids right now, if you haven't gone through an estate planning process, then if something happened to you, your kid's future is unknown. It's out of your control, but you actually can guide that by making some decisions. And if you just go to your attorney, which maybe you want to do, you can do an estate plan. It'll cost thousands of dollars. We have a process, a partner here that's awesome to us, and it lets you do it for essentially no cost. And maybe you're not a young family. Maybe you are, older. Maybe you have more money. Maybe you're thinking about that in your future. This can be for you too. But it's just a tool that last time we had, I was blown away by how many people wanted to do this last time. And I hope the same thing will be true for this seminar in June. So today's message is really a message of wisdom. And my idea is that I want you to feel like you're on top of it. So I've chosen these words particularly, wisdom. There's wisdom and there's foolishness. And the scriptures speak a lot about wise people and foolish people. Now, I don't know how to call someone foolish without it feeling like an insult, but I'm not trying to insult you. Some of you will listen to the message today and it will talk about a fool, and you will actually be sitting there and you'll think, oh, that's me. And that's not an insult. It's really an invitation to say, oh, you can take a path toward wisdom and life could be so much better. Scripturally, these are the definitions of wisdom and foolishness. People who are wise understand how the decisions you made yesterday affect today, and how the decisions you're making today will affect tomorrow. You understand how life is connected, the cause and effect relationships, and that's what wise people see. Foolish people do not live that way. They make the decisions in a vacuum. They think, well, this is what I want to do today, so I'm going to do it today. And they don't understand how it's going to affect the next day. And so oftentimes I'll talk to adults and they'll be like, yeah, my teenagers need to hear that. And I'm always like, actually, I think we need to hear that. To step back in all areas of life, including finances, to think, oh, there are certain decisions we're making today, and they have a big effect on tomorrow. And the scriptures guide us to that wisdom. And what I want really for you out of today's message is that you can walk out of here feeling like, I'm on top of it. Or if you're not on top of it, you can say, I'm not on top of it, but there's a pathway to get there. Because I think the feeling of being on top of something is a great, great feeling. All of you in some area of your life are on top of something. You have a skill set, you understand how something works, you could solve someone's problem. It's different for all of us. But there's something in your life where I would need to come to you because I'm not on top of it and you are on top of it. And I just want us to think today how good it feels to be like, yeah, I'm on top of that. I understand how it works. I could explain it to somebody else. I've employed it in my own life. I can fix that. But a lot of times people don't feel that way. And so here's the two ideas, or I think the ways we feel when we're not on top of it financially. The first one is drowning. I don't want you to be drowning. The scriptures don't want you to be drowning. God definitely does not want you to feel like you're going through life and you're just drowning. What does drowning mean? It means like you're underwater. You're underwater financially. You can't get up on top of it. And most of the time when you're drowning, like if you were literally drowning, you start flailing, right? You try to get people's attention to say, hey, I need some help. But one of the weird things socially about finances is that when you're drowning financially, you also feel a pressure not to flail. And so nobody knows, and you keep drowning. And I just want you to feel today like you don't have to feel that way. There's a different way to live so that you're not drowning financially. The other is not guessing or not bullied. If you're on top of things financially, you're not guessing about what financial decisions to make. You're not guessing about what to prioritize with the money that you have. You're not guessing about investments or spending decisions. Like you understand how money works and you use it to your advantage. I want you to feel like you're on top of it. And maybe the worst thing that money does to people I see is that it bullies them. You know what a bully does? You're walking down the sidewalk and there's a bully and the bully says, nope, you can't go this way. And I think a lot of times in our financial situations, I talk to people who feel like their money is telling them what they can and can't do. They have no control over it themselves. Based on previous decisions, their money situation is now in a place where it's like, nope, you're not allowed to do that. You can't pass here. You can't go on that vacation. You can't go out to dinner. You can't do that. But wouldn't it be great if instead of your money telling you how you have to live, you told your money how you are going to live? And that's how it would feel to be on top of it. So I have two very simple things today. And I want you to kind of walk through this and be like, okay, am I on top of it or not? And if you are, it's going to feel great. And if you're not, I hope this feels great too, because there's a path out of it. Here's number one. Number one, I'm in the black with some breathing room. I'm in the black, literally thinking like a ledger almost, like, no, I'm not in debt. I'm not in the red. I'm not underwater, I'm in the black, and I have some breathing room for this. Now, I know the moment that I start saying things like this out loud, some of you will say, or you'll think, oh, this feels like a financial seminar. And I just want you to take that away from you for a moment. This is not about spreadsheets. For today, it's not about budgets. It's about God and the wisdom of the scriptures and the idea that he has a picture for how you can live. He has a freedom he wants you to live in. He doesn't want you to be marked with relationships that are wrapped up by money or carrying an angst or a lack of peace about money. Here's what the scriptures say. The borrower is slave to the lender. And anyone here who's not in the black, who's in the red, you have felt this. You're like, I don't really control this. Somebody else controls me. They tell me what I can do and what I can't do. I'm in a position where I don't have that freedom. I don't have any breathing room. The scriptures also say this. The wise man saves for the future, but the foolish man spends all that he gets. And I think this is as clear of a picture as you get. What does a wise person understand? A wise person understands how yesterday's decisions are connected to today, and today's decisions are connected to tomorrow. And so, of course, they save for the future. They understand something could go wrong tomorrow, so they're going to create a little margin, a little breathing room, a little buffer, so that when something goes wrong, it's not a big problem. But the foolish person is the person who spends all they get. They act like life ends at the end of today. And they don't really think like, oh, but if I arranged my financial life in a different way, it could take stress out of my life. The video that I showed right before the message, which will show all 3 weeks, is from a guy named Arthur Brooks. You may not know him, but he's a Harvard professor. He teaches in the areas of leadership and happiness. And his expertise on happiness is kind of why his profile has risen over the last 5 years or so, because he's become kind of the insightful person to go to say, how does happiness really work in this life? He is a follower of Jesus. And it's interesting to me that when he talks about this, his orientation toward what could make you happy aligns so often with the life that God has for you. So in that little clip, he's asked at the beginning, hey, can money bring happiness? And he says, oh, the eternal question. And then he gives 5 quick things. But his last thing is about saving. It's about being in the black. And then he goes on for about another minute after that. And that's the part I want you to hear after you get through that opening section again. This is the power of saving.
Is there any way for money to buy you happiness?
It's all the eternal question. So there's 5 things you can do with money. Number 1, you can buy stuff. Number 2, you can buy experiences. Number 3, you can buy time. Number 4, you can give it away. And number 5, you can save it. Those are the exhaustive possibilities of what you can do with money. 2 through 5 bring happiness. 1 doesn't. 1 is what you biologically have an imperative to do, is to go accumulate stuff, more of everything that shows that you're a successful person. However, if you buy experiences and experience these things with people that you love, you get happier. If you buy time and don't fritter it away, that you use it for your own edification or for the relationships in your life, you get happier. If you give your money to things that you're really passionate about, you get happier. And if you save your money, you get way happier. Saving money is one of the ways that you can buy happiness. Conversely, by the way, spending money that you don't have on consumption, running up your credit card to pay for your vacation, that is one of the best ways to get unhappier, because you're not making progress. You're making regress, and all of human happiness comes from progress. Savings feels like progress.
He's just laying out for us what the scriptures teach us, that if I'm in the black with some breathing room, life's better. It's just better. Now, live with these concepts with me just for a little bit, because the breathing room idea has its roots in the scriptures, of course. The Bible wants you to live a life with some room around the margins so that you can choose what to do with your extra time, so that you can choose what to do with your extra money, so you can choose what to do. That's a peaceful life if we arrange our lives that way. Think about it with time, first of all, with me. This will make sense to all of you. Let's say you're going somewhere and you're going with your spouse or with your kids or with a friend, and it's 20 minutes away, right? If you're going somewhere that's 20 minutes away and you leave 20 minutes before you have to get there, it's fine. I mean, it's how most of us function most of the time. We'll get there as long as everything goes right. We'll be fine. Nobody's going to be embarrassed. The ride on the way there, you probably wouldn't call it a peaceful ride, but it's not horrible. If it takes you 20 minutes, if it's going to take you 20 minutes to get somewhere, and you leave and you only have 15 minutes to get there, you enjoy that ride? So exciting, isn't it? I mean, maybe it's just Jenny and I. Apparently it's also Chip and Mickey. Like, this is like a melting pot for anger, right? Like, now everybody's tense. We're like, I don't know, I can't think about that. The kids are in the backseat. Come on, get buckled, we gotta go. Everything changes when there's no margin in this, when you're underwater with your time. Now think about this. What if it's gonna take you 20 minutes to go somewhere and you leave with 30 minutes available? Oh, this is what beautiful car rides are made of. You can talk about whatever you want to talk about. You might as well talk about going on vacation this summer because you got room for that conversation. If you see something on the side of the road and you're like, that's kind of interesting, you're like, no problem. I'm just going to pull over there and look at it for 2 minutes so we still have 8 minutes left to get there. I'm telling you, margin, breathing room gives you options. And the same thing, of course, is true with money. If you have $1,000 of bills that you need to pay and you have $1,000, you'll squeak it out most of the time. If you have $1,000 of bills to pay and you only have $500, then you're underwater, right? You're drowning. And of course, it creates stress in the system and it generates arguments. And now everyone's pointing at everyone else about every little thing that you did. Like it's not a good place to live. If you have $1,000 in bills, but you have $2,000, you're like, no problem. I had a friend who said to me once, I'll never forget this. He said, if you have a problem that money can solve and you have money, you don't have a problem. If you have a problem that money can solve, money can't solve all problems, but if you have something that money can solve and you have money, you don't have a problem. That's the idea behind this breathing room. But you might be sitting there right now thinking, I don't have that. Well, then let's just confess that. Let's just acknowledge that I'm not in the black. I don't really have any breathing room. I pay the minimums on my credit cards. For some of you, you owe something on your car or something else, and now you owe more than it's actually worth. You're in a situation where finances are constantly creating stress for you, where someone asks you to go out to a nice dinner or go on vacation with them, and you want to say no because you know you should say no, and you still say yes. You just don't have control over that right now. For some people, you end up hiding money from your spouses or hiding financial decisions that you're making, and you're not trying to lie to them, but you know the conversations it's going to create. And so this is the beauty of the wisdom of the scriptures, that if you're in the black and you have some breathing room, life is good. And with some pretty simple decisions, most people, I can't guarantee this for everybody, but probably you could be in a different place 6 months from now than you are today to be having some breathing room and setting the course for a life that you want. Here's the second thing about being on top of it. I'm in the driver's seat with some confidence. I'm in the driver's seat, right? I get to tell my money what it's going to do, how it's going to serve me. My money isn't the one who's telling me what I have to do. And I do so with some confidence. So I have a daughter who's 18, and I was helping her do her taxes just a few months ago. And when she was doing her taxes, I was talking to her. I said, hey, a really wise thing that my parents taught me when I was young. Thank God for parents who teach you this, books that you've read, podcasts you've listened to. That, like some of you didn't have that. But my parents taught me, so I'm teaching my daughter, hey, you should take some of your money that you earned and you should put it in a retirement account. Now, she's 18, right? She reacted the exact same way all your 18-year-olds are actually. A retirement account. And of course, I just say to her, because I understand how money works, I say, well, you don't have to. It is entirely your choice right now. But I can promise you that if you put money in at 18 instead of 28 or 38 or 48, you'll be glad you did later on. You absolutely, just run the numbers. It is mind-blowing how much 10 more years of investment, even on a small amount of money, will set you up for the future. And so she trusts her dad. She put some money in the retirement. There's some tax advantages to that if you're a low-income person like she is. Like, if you know money, you know these things. And as soon as she put it in, guess what the stock market did? It tanked. She's like, Dad! But I have confidence because for 30 years, I know the stock market goes like this. Actually, what I know is the stock market goes like this. And someone who knows money, who's like, I'm in the driver's seat. I have some confidence. I said, hey, just be patient. And she actually didn't have to be patient that long. She's in a better place even today than she was a month ago. But this is what someone can have. Here's what the scriptures say. This is why this is so important. Jesus says, for where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. And if you stop and think about it, you probably would have guessed Jesus would have said the opposite. Doesn't it seem like Jesus would say something like, for wherever your heart is, there your money will be, there your treasure will be also. But that is not what he says. He says, you'll be amazed how powerful your money decisions are in life. Because however you end up with where your treasure is, if you're stressed out about it, your heart will be stressed out. If you're chasing things that you're not proud of, your heart will not be proud of it. If you're making a difference, your heart will be proud. Like, your money actually drives your heart. That's why this is such a big deal to him. He also says this, nobody can serve two masters. You cannot serve both God and money, and that's not a threat. That's him inviting us into the life that actually we all want. We don't want money to be our master. We don't want to live every day thinking, well, everything about life has to be about making more money, having more money. I have to do whatever I have to do to get to those money goals. You don't want that life. And you definitely don't want a life where money's in the driver's seat and you're in the passenger seat and your money isn't serving you. You are serving your financial situation and you have no other choices. That's the situation you find yourself in. Haggai in the Old Testament says it this way. You earn wages only to put them in a purse with holes in it. Give careful thought to your ways. And sometimes when I'm talking with someone who's going through a financial difficulty, I'll read this verse to them. And it's so wild to me because when I say, hey, you earn wages only to put it in a purse with holes in it, I see their head drop. And they're saying, yeah, that's me. And they're embarrassed about it. They're frustrated about it. And I just want to reach over literally and lift up their head and say, hey, embarrassment is not the right response. And they'll say, look, maybe you feel this. They're like, we make good money. I just don't know where it all goes. I can't figure it out. And I'm like, actually, that's good news. Because if you make good money, there's a way to figure it out. There's a guy named Ramit Sethi. He kind of publishes books in the financial, personal finance world and building wealth, things like that. Best-selling, New York Times best-selling books, podcast, Netflix special a couple of years ago. And it's interesting to hear him talk because he says most couples that come to him, most couples, over 50%, when they come, they can't tell him how much they make. Now, some of you are sitting here right now, you're like, what? There's no way that's true. Because you're on top of it. You know exactly how much you make. You know where the things are going. But I'm just telling you, it's a very average experience for people. And others of you are sitting here like, yeah, actually, if you asked me, put me on the spot, I couldn't tell you exactly how much I make. And like, well, if you don't know, it's hard to be in the driver's seat with confidence. He describes 4 different kinds of people and how we relate to money. It's not about spreadsheets. It's about psychology more than anything. He said some people are money avoiders. That might be you. It's not a healthy place to be. But you're not on top of it if you're an avoider. You just kind of hope it all works out. There are money optimizers. People who are optimizers are on top of it, and sometimes, honestly, a little too on top of it. Like, take a breath yourself, Mr. Optimizer. There are money worriers, and he says, I would have predicted that people's worries about money do not correlate with how much money they have. If you have a lot of money, you wouldn't worry. And if you have a little, you would worry, right? He's like, nope, not that way at all. Not that way at all. Some people are just worriers, no matter how much money they have or how little. Not a healthy place. That's a stressed place to be. And he said, some people are dreamers. And while dreamers might first seem positive, he says, Actually, it's not, because dreamers have this mindset that they're just one big decision away from everything working out. And it's just a dream. It's actually just a fantasy. It's not the way money works. But if you were on top of it, then you could be in a place where the money doesn't have to create stress in your life. So let me just ask this question. How do I move toward the black? How do I move toward the driver's seat, where I'm not underwater, I'm not being bullied, I'm not guessing what to do with my money? And I think it starts with you having a conversation. If you're married, the conversation has to be with your spouse, where the two of you talk about it and you say, hey, is Greg talking about us? Are the scriptures talking about us today? I mean, can we even raise our hand and say, hey, we might be wise in other areas of life, but in this one, I think we're foolish. And I'd like to not be foolish anymore. How would I take those steps? It's interesting. When Jesus is teaching in the Sermon on the Mount, at the end of the message, he says this. He says, anyone who hears these words of mine and puts them into practice is like a wise man who built his house on the rock. And then he says, and then storms and floods are going to come. And if you're sitting here in front of me right now and you feel like, actually, Greg, I'm on top of it. I feel good about this. Most weekends when you're talking, Greg, I feel like my life's totally messed up, but this one I got. I want you to feel great about that. I want you to feel the affirmation of Jesus, that you've heard these words of his, you've put them into practice, and storms are going to come, but the storms are going to be okay because you've built your financial house on a rock. Then he says, anyone who hears these words of mine and does not put them into practice is like a foolish man who built his house on the sand. And it's fine when things are fine. But the most predictable things about life is that storms are going to come, that floods are going to rise, that the refrigerator is going to go out and the car is going to break down and things are going to happen. And his invitation is to something different. And so here at the start of this series, I want to encourage you just to think to yourself, am I on top of it financially in my life? Or am I not in the driver's seat, a little bit underwater, guessing a little bit more than I'd like to admit? And I just want you to know, we're here for that. I mentioned this earlier. We have this budget boot camp, it's called. It starts in 2 weeks. And listen, there's no shame at all in signing up for the budget boot camp. My greatest respect is for people who say, hey, I could use a little help in this area and I really want life to be better. I want to be God honoring in this sort of way. 6 months from now, if I could, instead of being underwater, be above water, I'd take it. And it's a pretty short little course. It's full of lots of wisdom and someone who will walk through this with you. And we want our church to be here for you in that. So with that in mind, I want you to live with money on the plus side. And if you don't feel like you're there right now, let us help you move from here to there. Well, I really hope that was helpful for integrating faith with life. Listen, if you're in Northwest Indiana, I'd love to have you join us in person. Head over to suncrest.org and plan your visit.